President-elect Bush and Jesse Jackson, a summit meeting of sorts, and the RJR Nabisco poker game is now approaching a showdown.
NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. If President-elect George Bush gets any better at this healing process, they may want to add the title doctor to his name. Today, he met with America's best-known black leader and with prominent environmentalists to tend to leftover campaign wounds. We begin tonight with NBC's Andrea Mitchell reporting on the George Bush-Jesse Jackson summit meeting.
It was a remarkable change of mood from an extraordinarily bitter campaign. As George Bush Jr. escorted the Jackson children to a separate lunch, the president-elect sat down with one of his fiercest critics, Jesse Jackson, whom Bush had called the hustler from Chicago, and George Bush, whom Jackson had said was morally unfit to be president.
From another party, hopefully can articulate what I believe, but there's some common ground here.
Bush said common ground, a favorite Jackson phrase, but on specific issues they still disagree. At today's lunch, Jackson raised questions about Medicare cuts, farm foreclosures, the Reagan decision to bar Yasser Arafat from the United Nations, U.S. policy toward South Africa, the need for a top-drawer drug czar. And they talked about Willie Horton and the prison furlough issue. During the campaign, Jackson accused Bush of using the issue to send ugly, race-conscious signals. But today, Bush improved the atmosphere by reassuring Jackson that no racism was intended.
President-elect Bush assured me that may have been the result, was not his intent.
This wasn't a burying the hatchet meeting, and no hatchet needed to be buried. We got big differences, and we got a lot in common. We talked about, what others? A lot of them.
About you becoming a liberal?
While Bush and Jackson may have kissed and made up, Bush didn't give up the microphone without warning his guest, half in jest.
Good luck. Don't foul it up. And I'm going to be listening over your shoulder.
Watch my lips.
Watch my hips.
Despite lingering distrust on both sides, Jackson said the president-elect showed an openness, a willingness to listen. Something he said he did not find in Ronald Reagan. Andrea Mitchell, NBC News at the White House.
Vice President Bush may come to regret that he ever used that phrase, read my lips. It's coming back at him in so many ways. He heard it from environmentalists today as well. They were very critical of Bush during the campaign, but NBC's Don Oliver reports tonight that after the meeting today, their tone changed.
Our meeting with President-elect Bush this morning is an indication that the new administration is going to take these recommendations very seriously.
The leaders of the nation's environmental movement were euphoric after a 45-minute breakfast meeting with the president-elect.
I said, Mr. Bush, read my lips, protect the environment. And he said, I will.
During the campaign, candidate Bush often voiced concern for the environment.
And I am an environmentalist, and I always have been, and I always will be.
The environmentalists now want him to back his words with deeds. During their meeting, Mr. Bush said he would consult with them on key appointments in his administration and asked for their recommendations. In an unprecedented show of unity, 30 of the leading environmental organizations have come up with 700 specific recommendations for the new president. They are most concerned over the worldwide warming trend, the greenhouse effect, brought on by the relentless emissions of carbon dioxide. They urged a 10-cent per gallon fee on gasoline to cut consumption and a federally mandated 45 miles per gallon by the year 2000. In order to combat the threats from acid rain, urban air pollution, and polluted bodies of water, the coalition seeks a 20% increase in the budget of the Environmental Protection Agency. They called for a tax of $1 a pound on chlorofluorocarbons and other chemicals which are depleting the ozone layer and posing a threat to health, and an end to government subsidies for crop irrigation and timber operations. The various fees, taxes, and cuts, they believe, more than offset the costs of the new programs.
There would be a budget surplus, in a sense, of $13.8 billion.
The environmentalists warn that damage to the earth, its air, and water is the greatest threat now facing mankind. Don Oliver, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Former Senator John Tower of Texas is said to be the odds-on choice to be named Secretary of Defense in the Bush administration, but congressional records show that he is now working as a consultant for 5 major defense contractors. Members of the Bush transition team said today they know about that. They don't consider it enough to disqualify Tower from consideration. Also coming up here tonight on NBC Nightly News, the high-stakes game for RJR, where greed and big debt are on the table tonight. And at the other end of the scale, in northern Africa, widespread starvation as a calculated weapon in Sudan's bitter civil war. Jim Bitterman is there. And Roger O'Neill in Dallas on the case of this man. Was he the wrong man, wrongly sentenced to death row for the murder of a policeman?
Gas pain, bloating. Gas-X has the strongest, fastest relief ingredient. Painful gas is like beer bubbles. Add the leading antacid. Add Gas-X. Only Gas-X gets rid of the gas. The strongest, fastest reliever for gas pain and bloating. Gas-X.
It takes time to get your gal to see the light. It takes time. It isn't always love at sight. From the first little glance till she's ready for romance. Remember, little man, it takes time. It takes time to make the coffee percolate. It takes time to get your gal to set the date. From the first moonlit walk till you get the baby talk.
The Elegance Collection from Citizen.
Yeah.
There's only one place you'll find Winnie the Pooh learning toys, and the Disney Talking Magic Kingdom.
You are right.
It makes learning numbers and letters and counting fun. It's only $40, only at Sears.
It's the biggest business deal in the history of the world, the buyout of RJR Nabisco. It was supposed to come off today, but it's not yet happened. The bidding for control of that company continued throughout the day, going up $1 billion at a crack. Last we heard, more than $24 billion on the table. NBC's chief financial correspondent Mike Jensen now with the latest. What's going on, Michael?
Tom, Wall Street is fascinated with this deal. It's so controversial. It involves so much money, and it's not over yet. RJR Nabisco's board of directors spent the day in this building in Manhattan trying to decide who would win the richest corporate bidding contest in history. The prize? Control of a company that sells everything from camels to Oreos. The money in this deal is so staggering that it has shocked not only Main Street, but also Wall Street. Here's the man who started it, F. Ross Johnson, RJR Nabisco's president. His idea was to borrow enough money to buy his own company back from its stockholders, then sell off big chunks of the company to pay off the debt. Johnson stood to make $100 million as his personal profit. Enter a second bidder, Henry Kravis, of the Wall Street firm of Kohlberg Kravis Roberts. He wrote the book on this kind of deal. He and his partners quickly got into a bidding war with Johnson. The big winners, aside from the winning executives, are the stockholders, who will make $10 billion. They've already seen their stock almost double in value. Other winners, investment bankers, the deal makers, who will make at least $300 million. Lawyers, almost $200 million. Commercial banks, the lenders, $150 million. Then there are the losers, people like Sam Gordon, who was encouraged by RJR to cash in his stock options at $53.50 a share just before the takeover announcement.
How much money did you lose by exercising your stock option?
At this date, over $600,000.
As of this moment, the RJR board is still meeting in committees, still trying to decide which offer, if any, it will accept. Tom?
Thanks, Mike. A warning today from former Federal Reserve Chairman Paul Volcker, who's highly regarded on Wall Street. He told the National Economic Commission that if the government fails to cut the budget deficit, that could trigger a loss of confidence in the value of the dollar. In turn, Volcker said that would lead to higher interest rates and possibly a severe recession. At the same time, however, the government reported today that personal incomes in this country jumped last month 1.8%. That's the sharpest increase in a year. One big reason for the jump, a large increase in farm subsidy payments. Today also brought a new warning about this nation's many troubled savings and loan institutions. The head of the FDIC, that's the agency that insures bank deposits, said the S&L industry is in danger of what he called a meltdown. He said that preventing that will cost the government close to $100 billion, $30 billion next year alone.
If you took Alka-Seltzer Plus for your sneezing and congestion, there's something you should know. Contact 12-hour caplets work twice as long.
Gesundheit.
Until there's a cure, there's Contact.
This holiday message is brought to you by Maytag, the dependability people.
Have you ever wondered what a baggage handler might take on vacation? What everyone should take. Samsonite's Glutton for Punishment. Get Samsonite's Glutton for Punishment, because no one knows what goes on behind closed doors.
There's one place you'll find this Craftsman cordless drill for only $26.99 on sale. And all these other cordless gifts on sale. They're America's first choice in tools. Craftsman, only at Sears.
The shuttle Atlantis, with its secret military cargo, is scheduled to be launched tomorrow morning, but forecasters now are saying that there's an 80% chance that the weather won't be good enough. And another concern tonight, 2 broken bolts on a plate in the shuttle's nose. Workmen had to glue the plate. They don't know yet if that worked. The mission could be delayed a day or two. Another problem for the U.S. military tonight, fire aboard the carrier Nimitz in the Arabian Sea. It happened when several rounds were fired accidentally from a cannon on a fighter jet. 10 other planes caught fire. 1 crewman was killed, another severely burned. In parts of South Africa tonight, apartheid, the separation of the races, is taking on a whole different meaning, the old meaning of strict segregation. After winning dozens of recent local elections, white conservatives now are flexing their political muscle by restoring the old, uncompromising brand of apartheid. NBC's Robin Lloyd has more from South Africa.
Almighty and merciful God.
After praying, city councilors voted to ban blacks from all public facilities. This conservative move to restore strict apartheid began here in Boksburg, heartland white South Africa. Blacks have shared this small lake with whites for more than 2 years. But the newly elected right-wing city council has ruled that blacks must soon be fenced out. The public swimming pool will be for whites only, and public toilets for blacks will be padlocked. White mothers like Maria Rousseau say for their children's sake, this was necessary.
It's not nice to be there with the blacks. I don't like my children to swim with them.
Lines open now, 3310702. We're talking Boksburg this morning with Sylvia. Good morning, Sylvia.
All of South Africa is now talking of little else. The return to strict apartheid in 3 white towns has outraged those who will be affected by the new laws.
I feel terrible. I mean, it's like telling me, listen, we don't want you there anymore because you're not good enough to socialize with us.
What's unusual here is that the ruling National Party has taken a strong stand against this move to restore total segregation. Dozens of other white communities across the country are now considering banning blacks from public facilities, and that has the government worried.
We appeal to South Africans to support us in suppressing this mad idea of introducing signs of humiliation towards a section of South Africans merely on account of the color of their skin.
The government fears that blacks will react violently, but it has not contested these new stricter apartheid laws. The crisis in Boksburg is a challenge to the national government's commitment to limited reform. But blacks here are wondering if they will ever again be welcome at Boksburg Lake. Robin Lloyd, NBC News, Boksburg.
There's another story from northern Africa tonight, the victims of southern Sudan. On and off for 30 years now, civil war has besieged that country. Now the war is on again, and the victims are the people caught in the middle. More than 1 million trapped in the area, facing starvation. NBC's Jim Bitterman in the Sudan.
At the headwaters of the White Nile River, the day begins early. So too does the search for food. This is Juba, held by the Muslim-led Sudanese government and encircled by Christian rebels. It's a town of 150,000, now forced to accommodate 100,000 more seeking refuge from Sudan's civil war.
During the rainy season, when the rebels could move about most easily, the government lost ground right up to the outskirts of Juba. Refugees poured in from the countryside, and all were surrounded by the rebel forces. For 2 months, Juba was cut off from the outside world.
For many, especially the newcomers, the siege meant starvation. Hundreds died. People ate leaves and river grasses in order to survive. But not everyone starved. The wealthy never went hungry. Grain sold at 10 times normal prices, but there was never a time when food entirely ran out. Somehow the merchants were always able to find food to sell. And throughout, according to Juba's archbishop, the northern government kept its military men supplied by air.
We saw there were planes, military planes coming in. Okay, why not to bring food by military planes?
But it's not the army's role to feed the hungry, according to Sudan's American-backed prime minister.
There is a question of means. This is not their job, really.
So now, outside relief agencies are doing what the government can't or won't. An emergency airlift brings food for the hungry of Juba. Neither side in Sudan's civil war seems overly concerned about the civilians who are its main victims. At a rebel base camp 150 miles away, the commander says the rebels will eventually take Juba. They've taken settlement after settlement by attacking or starving the civilian population. For visitors, the rebels make a show of how well they treat the thousands of refugees who've sought protection on their side. But occasional fights over food are testament to the hunger the rebels cannot or will not satisfy. As well, the rebels, just like government forces, are accused of atrocities like kidnapping, rape, and murder. Some die just trying to avoid the battlefield. Neobal Aguirre and her 3 children only barely survived a 3-month walk to reach a rebel feeding center. Everywhere along the way, the family saw death and disease. And just reaching an aid center is not enough. Medical care in the battle areas is almost non-existent. At the rebels' hospital, there's little medicine available. Amputations are performed without anesthetics. Meanwhile, it's not much better at the hospital in government-held Juba, where there is so little food that patients get only 1 bowl of porridge each morning. If a patient is lucky, his relatives come and cook him an evening meal. If he is not, he goes to bed hungry. Foreign relief agencies believe 250,000 Southerners have died in Sudan's civil war since January. Every war has its human tragedies, but in few have the lives of the civilians caught in the battle zones been treated with such indifference. Jim Bitterman, NBC News, Juba, Southern Sudan.
A place like this, what you bring with you is critical.
When 1,000 doctors were asked which one of these medicines they'd want along, the clear choice was Bayer.
I chose Bayer. Shouldn't you?
Bayer, the wonder drug that works wonders.
Wow.
What you eating, babe?
Nothing, honey.
Oh, you can tell me.
Kellogg's Nut and Honey Crunch. Looks good, Private. What is it?
Nothing, honey.
Kellogg's Nut and Honey Crunch.
When you've got the special taste of nuts and honey all wrapped up in a hearty crunch, what more can you say? Here's what. New Nut and Honey Crunch Biscuits. Crunchy biscuits of wholesome shredded wheat with that special nut and honey taste inside.
Wow. Kellogg's Nut and Honey.
Now in biscuits, too.
Crunch.
Shoot some slices, salad shooter. Shoot some shreds, salad shooter. Shoot some salad, shoot it fast, shoot it pretty. Pretty salad shooter.
Presto Salad Shooter, slicer, shredder. Easier than a food processor. Just point and shoot slices right onto a salad. Shoot shreds right onto a pizza. Top a dessert, go a little nutty. Clean up with a wipe and a rinse, small enough to store anywhere.
Shoot some salad, shoot it fast, shoot it pretty. Pretty salad shooter.
From Presto.
If you thought you had to give up comfort to get a close shave, Norelco says, think again. Their revolutionary shaving system shaves skin close in a way that's incredibly comfortable. As the hair enters the chamber, the patented lift and cut system lifts each hair and holds it a split second before a blade cuts it, so it's possible to shave skin close without the blades even touching the skin. The lift and cut shaving system from Norelco. We made close comfortable.
Another day is turned to night. Close your eyes, say goodnight.
Sominex has the one ingredient doctors recommend most to help you fall asleep safely without worry. Sominex.
Good night.
Arafat, the United States, and the UN. The controversy continues. Tonight, the General Assembly denounced the United States for refusing to grant the PLO leader a visa so he could address the UN here. And it called on the United States to reverse its decision. There were 151 votes in favor of the resolution. The U.S. and Israel voted against it. Great Britain abstained. On Polish television tonight, something unusual. Lech Wałęsa, live and uncensored. The leader of Solidarity debating the leader of Poland's official trade unions. Wałęsa told his opponent to stop standing in the way of freedom for trade unions, but the government official said that restoring solidarity would only divide Polish workers. At the same time, in the Soviet Union, a dramatic new gesture of glasnost. Officials of Radio Liberty and Radio Free Europe said today the Soviet Union now has stopped jamming their broadcast for the first time in 35 years. The radio services are financed by the U.S. government and broadcast in 21 languages throughout the Soviet bloc. Another demonstration of glasnost. In the Soviet Republic of Armenia, the official news agency reported today that a week of ethnic violence left 11 people dead. One victim was an Armenian, the others refugees from neighboring Azerbaijan. NBC's John Chancellor is with us now with some commentary about what's going on in the Soviet Union that I think will help straighten it all out to a degree. John?
Tom, Americans tend to think of the Soviet Union as a country, which is wrong. It's an empire. We tend to think of it as full of Russians. It is not. Russians make up only about half the population of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. There's a big difference between empires and countries. Real countries like Poland or France are held together by language and culture and heritage, even when they get knocked around by history. Even when they're divided, like Korea or Germany, real countries retain their national identity. Empires decay. History is full of examples. Makes you wonder how long the Soviet Empire is going to last. Peter the Great began fitting the pieces together in the 18th century. Lenin and Stalin finished the job in the 20th. 15 republics, 120 separate regions, 18 major language groups. Half a dozen Soviet republics are Muslim with a total population of over 50 million, growing fast. No real allegiance to Russia there. In places like the Ukraine, Georgia, and Armenia, there are about 70 million who have no love for the Russians. The Baltic states are filled with unrest. One of them tried to declare its sovereignty 2 weeks ago. And that's what Mr. Gorbachev has to think about when he looks at a map. How do you hold all this together? He is learning a lesson that was learned by the Persians, by the Romans, and in our own time by the British. In all of politics, the hardest horse to ride is an empire in decay.
I need home cooking.
Introducing Swanson's Homestyle Chicken and Noodle Entree. Tender chunks of chicken and egg noodles in a cream sauce made with, guess what? Real cream.
Can I buy dinner tonight?
I woke up with this killer pressure from a sinus cold.
Sinus cold.
Pain.
Pressure. Ingestion.
Couldn't breathe.
Pain. Ingestion.
Pressure. The pain was awful.
Congestion. Pressure.
I took new maximum strength Dristan. I'm here.
Discover new maximum strength Dristan. It combines two strong medicines to drain sinus cavities, unclog congestion, to relieve pressure and pain.
And it won't make you drowsy.
New maximum strength Dristan. Strong medicine for tough sinus colds.
I'm Brian Gumbel. Tomorrow morning on Today, we'll talk with Senator Lloyd Benson.
I'm Jane Pauley, also Mel Gibson, and more of our series on America at Work.
That's tomorrow morning on Today.
Over time, they gained a wisdom about the foods they ate. A wisdom handed down in a breakfast enjoyed throughout Europe, known in America as Kellogg's Mueslix. A natural balance of wheat bran fiber, oats, rice, corn, barley, dates, almonds, and figs. Kellogg's Mueslix, bran or 5-grain, what breakfast was meant to be.
There's only one place you'll find Winnie the Pooh learning toys, and the Disney Talking Magic Kingdom.
You are right.
It makes learning numbers and letters and counting fun. It's only $40, only at Sears.
There's nothing quite so dramatic as a case in which the wrong man may have been sentenced to death for a murder he didn't commit. And just such a case is getting additional attention as a result of a current feature-length documentary now playing in movie theaters. Now, NBC's Roger O'Neill reports the man convicted of murdering a Dallas policeman wants a new trial.
Randall Dale Adams has waited for 12 years for this day to try to right what he believes was a terrible wrong.
I believe in this system. I believe in the system of law and order.
The system failed you, though, didn't it?
I fell through the cracks.
In November of 1976, Dallas police, the district attorney's office, and the people of Dallas County were in no mood to see another police officer gunned down. They had just buried one.
Officer Robert Wood would be next. Here, a reenactment of that murder from a movie that brought the case to national attention. A drifter from Ohio, Randall Adams, was arrested 4 weeks after the crime. In less than 5 months, Adams was tried, convicted, sentenced, and sent to death row. But a growing number of people now are convinced the DA's office railroaded Randall Adams.
This is a sad commentary on how the system can work to literally bury somebody and take them to death's door.
Schaefer blames then Assistant District Attorney Douglas Mulder, now a prestigious defense attorney in Dallas, for orchestrating the case against Adams. He says Mulder withheld evidence, allowed witnesses to lie, and cut a deal with a 16-year-old boy, David Harris, to blame Adams for the shooting, even though Harris had bragged that he had done it. Mulder refuses interviews and he was not in the courtroom today. But Harris, now on death row for another murder, was in court and again confessed, as he did last month in this interview with Fox Television.
Did you shoot Officer Wood? I was the only one in the car.
Adams's mother broke down and cried when she heard Harris say under oath her son did not kill the police officer. Adams's attorney thinks the DA's office did not go after Harris because he was a juvenile at the time and could not be sentenced to death. The making of the movie, The Thin Blue Line, did much more than call attention to the case. The Dallas District Attorney's Office turned over, perhaps inadvertently, its entire file to the filmmaker. It showed confidential documents never before seen that eyewitnesses failed to identify Adams in a police lineup.
It's been a long 12 years, I tell you.
Adams's wait isn't over, but a new trial could give him a chance to reclaim the freedom he lost in 1976. Roger O'Neill, NBC News, Dallas.
That's Nightly News for this Wednesday night. I'm Tom Brokaw. I'll see you tomorrow night.
It's an incredible tale of alien abduction.
There's definitely something going on.
See for yourself on Unsolved Mysteries. Then lose your head over night court when Dan goes on a
sexual scavenger hunt. Yow!
And Christine's the prize.
Oh, there you are!
On Baby Boom, it's an adventure in babysitting that'll take your breath away.
Tonight.
Coming up next on the scene at 6, the arrest of a Perry County man nets authorities much more than they'd been looking for. And Sheriff Fate Thomas's payroll clerk is added to the list of those who will go before a grand jury investigating Thomas.
Also tonight, bureaucratic red tape keeps Tennessee from getting money to fight a killer. We'll see why poll watching could pay off for some people, and NES. And we'll check out a unique collection of cleaners.
These stories and more news coming up next on The Scene at 6.
It's very important to shop where I can get the best prices for my money.